Welcome to Top Shelf Tuesday, Oktoberfest edition, WWCB. What would Claudio buy if he were attending Oktoberfest in Munich, Germany? So, Prost. Tastes great. Love German beer. And as you can see, my beer-themed tie that my lovely sister-in-law gave me a couple years ago. And I thought to myself, when could I ever wear this tie? Either St. Patrick's Day or when I'm doing an Oktoberfest special. So tonight, I was inspired by many of your comments, and a lot of you followers were asking about A. Langenzone, Glashütte Original, as well as Nomos. So I wanted to also introduce 3 German watches to our audience. When we think of fine watchmaking, we always think of Geneva and Switzerland. However, this little town in Germany, in Glashütte, houses 3 very good, very nice manufacturers. So without further ado, let's get started. The first brand that I would like to talk about tonight is Nomos. It's a 25-year-old brand. It's been very popular over the past couple of years, sporty, stylish, and also quite affordable. It also is going to allow me to discuss, which some of you have mentioned in my last show, to show some of the different finishing in some of the more expensive and less expensive movements. So this is kind of like a show where you're going to see a little bit more expensive, and you're going to see the finishing on an $85,000 watch, and you're going to see the finishing on a $4,000 watch as well. So without further ado, let's get into the hardware, as Tim likes to say. We're going to start with the Nomos Ahoy Neomatic. There it is with that beautiful red dial. So this is a 36mm stainless steel red dial. And when I chose this watch, I was thinking to myself, well, I want to wear 3 watches today during the Oktoberfest festivities. And I thought to myself, this would be a great morning watch. This would be the watch that I wear when I'm going to get my coffee, some nice Bavarian pastries, maybe a long walk in the small town of Munich, where before the festivities begin, before I actually started drinking beer. So as some of my colleagues like to say, this is going to be my beater watch. I was not that familiar with Nomos prior to joining Govberg, because really, at this price point, I didn't really pay attention to these types of pieces. But in actuality, this is a wonderful company. As I said, it's about 25 years old. They're a manufacturer. This specific model is in-house movement, DUW 3001. It has a 42-hour power reserve. It has an ultra-thin movement, 3.2 millimeters in height. It's a very accurate movement, so kind of stays in line with the whole German engineering and craftsmanship. What's really nice about it as well is it has an exhibition back, which I'm going to show you right now. There it is. And one of the cool features on this movement is it has a feature where the rotor stops when the watch is fully wound, which does not bring any unnecessary energy into the system, reducing the wear on the movement. This is a really cool, young company. It has great designs, and as I said, German engineering. A nice feature also about it is you've got this very cool strap, and I can imagine that you can change the colors, but the way that I'm wearing it today is with this white strap. Like I said, it is a 36mm case, which I never thought I'd be able to pull on my wrists, because I'm used to wearing 42, 45mm. However, because of the way the lugs are, you have these really, these lugs that are sticking out of the case, and that actually allows the watch to wear bigger than it is. And if you look at it on my wrist, I do have small wrists, but I'm used to wearing larger watches. It's actually not a bad fitting watch. So there it is, the Nomos Ahoy Neomatic. We are an authorized dealer at Govberg Jewelers at our Ardmore location, which is in the suburbs of Pennsylvania, of Philadelphia. This piece retails for $4,120. It is available. There it is. So one last look at it. And if you're interested, please contact us and we'll be happy to set an appointment for you to come see the watch. So watch number one, that's my breakfast watch, that's my morning watch. But now it's time for lunch. It's now time to attend the festivities, the beer garden. One of the things that I read this morning was Oktoberfest brings nearly 6 million visitors to Munich every year. It takes place around late September. It varies around the middle of September to the beginning of October. So I thought this would be a great time to discuss it since we're at the end of September, early October. And actually the idea came from a very good friend of mine, Matt Sullivan, who actually is the wholesale director for A. Lange & Söhne in North America. So thanks for the idea, Matt. Thanks for the information. So before we get into A. Lange & Söhne, I wanted to talk about my midday watch. And as you can see here, I brought today the Glashütte it's the Glashütte original Panomatic Inverse. There it is. Let me try and get that. So the reason I chose this watch, in doing a lot of our shows and seeing our live chats, I see that so many of you viewers just love to see the movement of our watches, and we always kid around and say this movement is so nice that I'd wear the watch backwards. Well, the design for this watch was actually thought of that way. They decided to sort of take all of the specialized engravings and finishings and put it on the front of the dial. This is a 42 millimeter, 18 karat rose gold. So size-wise, right up my alley. It's 12 millimeters thick, so not a thick case. You have a lot of different finishings on the case itself. You have brushed, you have polished. The caliber is obviously an in-house caliber, so just like all three of these brands manufacture. It's the caliber 9102. It's bi-directional, 21 karat rotor. And I'll show you the backside in a minute. And it has a 42-hour power reserve. So let's talk a little bit about the dial, and I'm trying to catch it in the perfect light so you can see that vertical Glashütte ribbing, which is a very nice feature. Now, in terms of the complications, you have, there it is, you have at the off-centered hours and minutes right there. Beneath it, you have the second-hand counter. And you also have a panorama date at 2 p.m., which I set to the number 7 because that's my lucky number. Another very interesting feature, and hopefully we could get a little bit more of a close-up on here. There it is. It's the balance cock and wheel, which is also made of gold and silver and hand engraved. You rarely get to see this on the front of your watch. So I think Glashütte did a wonderful job in really showcasing what they can do in terms of finishing. This is a very beautifully designed piece, and it's also very affordable considering what it is. This is a $29,700 piece. We are an authorized dealer for Glashütte Original. You can see it also at our Ardmore location. Now let's talk a little bit about the back of the watch. There it is. So when you turn the watch around, it's still very beautifully designed. There you can see the close-up picture that I took this morning. But in actuality, they decided to really keep the front of the watch to be sort of the showcase. So unlike many of the pieces that we've been talking about and showing, the back is somewhat, not a letdown, but it's just not as beautiful as the front of the watch, although it's still very beautifully designed. You've got that logo in 21 karat gold, and so there it is. Looking at the back of the first watch, the Nomos piece, versus this piece, you could tell, okay, there's a $4,000 watch, and now you have a $30,000 watch. A little bit more intricate. Definitely you can see that there's more richness, more luxury to this piece, especially with the front of the watch. The buckle, it's a deploying buckle, and one of the cool features that it actually has here is the strap is screwed down right over there to the buckle. So it's actually another way of sort of safely keeping the buckle on the strap. The strap itself is also very nice. You have a calfskin strap over here. You have the black alligator on the back. But the calfskin is smooth. It's almost like a suede finishing, but it has the appearance of a crocodile strap. So when I was looking at the Glassute collection, I really thought to myself, this is something that I would love to wear, and this would be my daytime watch. This would be the watch that I would be sharing a beer with and enjoying the day. So watch number 2, Glassute Original, the Panomatic Inverse, retails for $29,700. Cheers. I'm gonna just have a sip of beer. So the last watch, and cheers to you guys. So every time I take a sip, you need to take a sip. The last company and the last watch that I'd like to talk about is another company from so Glassute Original is a company based from the Swatch Group. Nomos is an independent brand. Pheline Zone, I hope I pronounced that right for all you watch fans out there, is a brand that's actually out of the Richemont group, and it's almost like the little baby of Richemont. It's a very powerful brand, classic in design, but also very young in terms of age. The brand was started in 1990 by the original founder, Walter Lang, who happened to pass away just this year. So rest in peace, Mr. Lange. Before we get into the watches, I want to talk about the history of the brand as well. As I said, there's in the left-hand corner you can see the 5-minute clock, which was inspired the Zeitwerk, which we're going to get into now, and that's in the Semper Opera House in Dresden, where the founder A.F. Lang contributed to designing the clock. So in 2009, when the people at Pheline Zone decided to come out with the Zeitwerk, that was the actual design that contributed to them making this piece. So let's get into the watch itself. Here we have the Zeitwerk striking time. This is such a cool piece. It's a 44.2 millimeter watch. It's a little bit thick, but not too bad. Not so bad where you can't wear it under a suit shirt. 13.8 millimeters thick. This is a white gold case, but it also comes in platinum. This is not limited, but when I say not limited, well, Pheline Zone is a very limited brand. They make less than 5,000 watches a year. It's the caliber L043.2. It's a manual wound watch. Has 528 individual parts. It has a low power reserve at 36 hours, but that's because there's so much energy being spent on the complication, and we're going to show you that in a minute. The complications that this watch features, you have a jump hour, you have a jump minutes, you have the sub-second hand at 6, you have a power reserve retrograde indicator at the 12 o'clock position, you have the acoustic signal hours and quarter hours. The dial is solid silver with black, and as I said, it's not limited. So let's talk a little bit about the features of this watch, and let me show you the watch in action. So there you just saw the minute jump. I'm just going to quickly set the time to 10:59, and while I'm doing that, I'll let you take a look at the back of the watch. That's that famous German metal, silver. All right, here we go. All right, so I set it to 10:59. So we're going to talk a little bit about this watch, and while we're talking about it, you're going to see the two gongs at the 7 and 5 o'clock position. Once it reaches 11 o'clock, you're going to see both of them chime. Right now, they're engaged. Actually, I think they might be silent. There you go. Now they're engaged. So I just engaged them. by getting the mute button off. There it is. So in about 10 seconds, you're going to see that those gongs go. And it basically, like I said, it chimes the hours, the quarter hours. And this button over here, there it was. This button over there is actually the mute button. So you can mute it when you're in a meeting or if you want to go to sleep, but it's not so loud where, you know, it's almost a nice sound. So that's that. This watch retails for pre-owned. We're not a Lange authorized dealer, but we do have a couple of their watches on pre-owned for approximately $85,000. And as I said, I wanted to compare the backs and the finishing. So here is the back of the timepiece. As you could see, one of the most incredible finishings and designs and color contrasts, metals. There's a lot going on there. Obviously, because it's such a complicated piece and because it does so many different things, the power reserve is 36 hours. So once again, the Zeitwerk striking time in white gold, which originated in 2009. However, this model came out back in 2011. I would say this was a risk that Lange took, because back then in 2009, when the watch industry was sort of headed in a downward spiral, they took a risk of taking this super classic company and trying something different. But in my eyes, when I think of the Zeitwerk, I think of very iconic, and I think of Lange & Söhne right away. Wanted to sort of also just show some of you the difference between the finishing of an $85,000 watch and a $4,000 watch. Not to say one is better, but in terms of the design, in terms of the engineering, in terms of what's going on there, very different. But then again, you're paying about 20 times more for the watch in my left hand versus the Nomos. And then of course, let's put it next to another brand from Glashütte, Glashütte Original. All right. Well, I've been able to share with you tonight 3 watches that I would wear during the Oktoberfest. One in the morning, the Nomos, the Glashütte Original Panomatic Inverse, and then of course the iconic Lange & Söhne Zeitwerk striking time. I want to thank all of you for tuning in tonight, and Prost to everybody. I'll see you next week. Cheers.